Hi everybody, Jeannie here again, and this is part 2 of my tiny critters, flowers, and a teardrop for earrings or charms, etc. They're made on very skinny mandrels instead of my regular mandrels, so you just have to be a little more careful working with those. But as usual, you can get a hold of me through facebook.com/jeansbeads, and there's my little avatar in the corner for your reference. Thanks so much, and on to the video. So in this video, I am going to be making a little pig. And I actually started making videos for pink pigs, and that's why I got a pink pig in the picture. I actually made 2 previous pink pigs, and for some reason or another the videos did not come out right. One time it stopped right in the middle of my filming, but so I ended up making a pig in blue because I ran out of my pink rod. But anyways, let's get on to the pig. So in this video I'm making, this is going to be a little bit bigger of a bead, just because there's so much detail in a pig. I could have made this smaller too, but I wanted to be able to show you better of how I shape the pig ears and stuff like that. So I didn't have a stringer for this pig, and so I am gonna pull off a stringer right here. So I have a stringer for later, for when I do the tail especially. But the tail, the little feet, whatever you're going to put on there, the ears. So now I'll have my little stringer. And I just pulled it right off the glass that I was laying down. So this body's going to be a little bit fatter. I want it rounded out a little more. And don't forget that these mandrels, and you can see I'm either above the flame or I'm below the flame. And I try to keep the mandrel out of the flame because they are so skinny that they can bend very easily. So you want to be very careful with that and aware of that. And you also want to keep them out of the flame because you can actually burn right through these mandrels and have them fall down on your workbench and just burn up. So you want to be careful with these skinny mandrels. So I'm adding just a little more glass here. Want to get a nice fat piggy body. And see, it's a little more round. It's not quite as donut shaped. It's like a really fat donut. And that's what I want for this pig. And this is just going to be a simple pig. You can actually design the body if you want. I could have put flowers or dots or something on the body, but I just left him plain just to show how you basically make the shape. So I'm adding a head there, or at least some glass for a representation for a head, and it's my placement marker so that I know where I need to put my feet and my tail, and I will come back to the head last. So now I'm just adding some feet. Sorry, my hand's in the way. I'm a lefty. So sometimes my hands just get in the way. So now I want to see, I'm just trying to adjust to make sure the feet are all about the same size. And I'm going to heat 2 of the feet on one side. And then I'm going to hold my mandrel straight up and down a little bit so that the feet kind of fall downward instead of stick outward, since I'm holding it on an angle to heat them. See, I hold it straight up and down so I can let the feet droop downward, if that makes any sense, because I don't want them to really squish out. But that's basically the feet, and he kind of looks like a turtle, doesn't he? So I could make this guy a turtle if I wanted to, but he's going to be a piggy. So now I'm going back to the head section, heating that head, and I'm trying not to heat the body, just heating the little head part. And then I'm going to flatten it. I'm going to do that one more time. Try to flatten it, and then I'm trying to get it even, so I was looking straight down at the top of the head. And then I melt it a little bit to make a little curve so it just has a little curve to it, but it's mostly flat. So that's going to be his basic head. And now I'm going to put a little curly tail on the back. So I just do a little swipe around, almost like a circle. Do a little curl. So he's got a little curly tail. And I always try to melt in the very top of the tail where it attaches to the body, supposedly. I try to meld that in. And then I leave the rest raised. And so now I'm going to place little dots for ears. And pig ears kind of flap down a little bit. So I am going to flatten these, and then I'm going to kind of push them with a tool. I'm going to push them over with a tool. And this is the same way you can actually make dog ears. Of course, dog ears might be a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to have to add a little more glass to the one ear. And then, so I have my ears. He looks kind of like a weird mouse pig right now. But I think I'm going to add the nose glass just to have it put on there before I actually finish the ears, because the ears are smaller and a little more delicate. I don't want to melt those down while I'm heating the nose. So I put a little dot of glass towards the bottom of that of the head section. And I flatten that part too, till you get a nice shape. So now I'm going through, and I'm it's almost like I did the little duck bill. I'm flattening it, and then I'm squishing it a little bit sideways to straighten it a little bit, so it's not just a big round ball, it's more of a rectangle. So I flatten either side, and then I'm trying to position the ears so that they're both at the same angle. So they're both, either facing, upward at the same angle or downward at the same angle. I'm trying to make them even, so when I bend them over, they'll both look the same. So now I just heat one of the ears very gently to a nice orange glow, but not hot, and I push it over. And I just curl that little ear over. And like I said, you can do this like a beagle dog or some kind of dog like that with floppy ears. This would be the same way you would do that, except for, of course, they'd probably be bigger than the little tiny pig ears. So there's his little ears. And now I'm going to heat the nose there, and I'm going to poke little holes in for the nose. I don't have a little two poker tool. I know some people have that, or like tweezers that are pointed where you could just poke them both at the same time. So I did one at a time. And I have my little nose. And so the last thing I have to do are just the little tiny eyeballs. And I'm just going to put little black dots for the eyes. He's not quite big enough to put nice googly eyes on him. I probably could have done that, but just little black dots for the eyes. Try to get them the same size, and then I'm trying to flatten them because I don't want to distort the ears or the nose. I'm trying to flatten them, so I'm just heating the eyes a little bit and trying to get them melded in there enough so that they're not raised with any undercuts or anything. You don't want those eyes to pop off later. And I think one eye was a little bit too small, so I had to add a little bit more glass to the one side. And then I heat that up, and there is your little piggy. Hope you enjoyed that one. He was fun to make. And now the next one, and the last one in this series, hopefully you have a good idea of how to make different kinds of animals. I'm going to make a teardrop shape. And so this is just a basic shape. Of course, you can make little round beads, little cube beads, just like I have in my other video showing how to make a cube. You could do the same thing on one of these skinnier mandrels. But I didn't show how to do a teardrop shape. And so that's what I'm going to show here. So I need to get a long footprint. I just make it fatter on one side than the other. And so I want to make a cone shape basically. And this is how I start to make my teardrop. And my rod was cracking there. That's why it kind of looks so lumpy. So it was cracking apart. So I just got a big mass of glass there. It's all messy, but I'll straighten it out. But yeah, so I'm hoping this video will be good for you guys and show you different ways to shape either birds and ducks or other animals like the pig. You know, you could have made that a cow or an elephant. It didn't have to be a pig, but it's like the basic shaping for an animal. So hopefully that helps some of you with some shapes, especially for little earrings or charm dangles on the thin mandrels. Of course, you could make these on fatter mandrels too. You don't have to make them on thin mandrels. Okay, so here I'm just basically shaping. I want to try to get it even as possible. So I'm just shaping this cone, and I'm also rounding out the bottom, and I'm holding it upward there. I kind of went out of screen, but I'm holding it upward to have it droop down just a little bit, so I have a nice hole at the end. And so you really want to be careful with the top hole, especially because it's so thin at the top there. You want to make sure you have a good dimple there. So now that I have my basic shape, I'm just going to add some little turquoise dots around it. And I add 2 rows here. I was actually going to dot it all the way around. But then I decided, hey, I never showed how I could do like a little raised heart on the surface of a bead. It doesn't have to be this bead, but any shaped bead. And so I stopped here and I melted in these dots. And so these dots were going to travel all the way up the little teardrop. But I stopped so that I could show how I actually make a little raised heart on the surface. And sometimes I put these little hearts on the top of my fully shaped hearts. But it's just a little extra to show you guys what I do. And so basically it's fairly easy. I put 1 dot, and then right next to it I put a second dot, and I try to have those the same size. So I'm adding a little glass there. And then I put a 3rd smaller dot right at the bottom. See there, you could see the 3 dots. And then I heat all of those together. I want them to meld together and become one big dot. And then I just touch the bottom and swipe it down for a point. Now this little heart, I actually made it a little bit too long because I didn't want to distort the dots underneath it. But so the little taper of the heart is a little too long, but you get the idea. I could have pulled it out sharper and faster. And I go back here and I try to get a little more off. I just didn't want to distort the underlying surface. But there you go. There's a little heart, a raised heart on the surface of the teardrop. So hopefully that'll show you how to do some more little critters and some little earring pendants. Thanks for watching.